Etiefo, memo bibi akwaba eba Melodies TV so. There is a post Franklin Kujo share ewo the social media platform eso. Now I want us to go through that post and then I have something to say. You would want to wait for what I have to say. Now, for people who don't know what's going on, Ninina Ejina the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, and Ralph in Sensemwa Esi. Me who say the General Secretary na only Minister Nekasa by heart no on TV stations and radio stations, and he's trying to explain himself. Now explanation a war yenekrano or saying na some more. Uti in some more can explanation a war can in yama. Ase wamana dani declare or no crano as or MPP ni, because some of the explanation as more can so or no group bimu or MPP for group bimu na for tron same be for yama be, and then some of the arguments are all raised, clearly no utumi hune say minister no your time hune ni time minister no, because clearly no minister no nanko wundi bone utie ne arguments ni nyama wo raise ni nyama oko UTV oko ye interview utie host no questions a wo bisa no eno ono nsemu a wo kakra na clearly doesn't even make any sense, but trying as much as possible to blame the minister. That's here. But nini name no, I think say yesterday I said it, today I'm going to say it again. We've gotten to a point in this country where I think the government should take action against certain people who are holding sensitive positions in this country. You cannot just take the lives of Ghanaians for granted just because you feel say obiaya dia enyelde. And I am at the say Franklin Kujo ama a glimpse of Sadieno, and I'm going to read it so you understand. Now, Ridge Hospital is supposed to be a place of healing. Last week, it became a theater of shame. Ralph St. Williams allegedly stormed the emergency ward, shouting, filming, flanked by men who had no business in a place of pain. A young nurse, already stretched thin, was allegedly left in tears with a dislocated shoulder and her phone gone. Patients, sick and afraid, watched the chaos unfold. This is not how a hospital should feel. Now say Ralph, for his part, has dismissed the allegations. He insists he never assaulted anyone, that he slipped, that the nurse was acting, and that the story being told is not the truth. His denials now walk the street side by side with the CCTV footage. The tears of the nurse and the speculations that feed on Ghana's appetite for drama. In this country, even pain becomes a performance. Even truth is treated like hip-hop. Everybody has a verse, but few want the full story. Inti washa asiye eka, Oshe Franklin Kujo awo cancer hospital di anke usi isi woho, ena di ekoko siye, ena Ralph Nsensem, ena nurse no, and the likes. Now, Otuyaso will say, then came the Minister of Health, Kwabena Minta Akando. Cameras caught him shaking hands with Ralph the very next day, and stunned. How does a minister who speaks for every nurse and every patient casually embrace the man accused of assault? His PRO, Tony Goodman, explained that the handshake was fleeting and should not overshadow the minister's directives, calling in the police, tightening security, addressing staffing shortages. Fine, but optics matter. Leadership is not just about what you do. It is about the signals you send. And in that moment, the minister sent the wrong one. And to what I say, minister no so babe PMO. Minister ne babe PMO no. The problem and an for issue omo with minister na ne say wakwa kochia Ralph. Emma minister no ne PRO say minister ne be mu no enyama ehu hia no waye. Enyama ehu hia ene say wama police aba asem no emu. Wa tightening security e wo hospital ho. Minister no asanso address staffing shortages. Say bia na adwumayefo bi wo hospital ho a omonso. Nti the minister na adwumayefo bebre aye den asanso akọ. Those are the very important issues a minister no wa address. But still, Franklin Kujo nsemu a what can say? Yes, the minister sent a wrong message by greeting Ralph. And I said, what then insa Ochia Ralph no a wrong message. Minister no was send it. No problem. Now Franklin Kujo continues to write, say, the nurse's pain is real. And so too is the daily suffering of patients who walk into public hospitals only to meet indifference. Now, I say the nurses' pain is real. And so too is the daily suffering of patients who walk into public hospitals only to meet indifference, insult, or silence. I say nurse no, a yaw na aba nurse no so, and a nurse no, they will go through no, or yaw no, yatiasi a okay. Now, so there are other patients in so our mobile, yemfio mo, our monso go through or yaw. I say that hypocrisy cuts deepest. Ask any Ghanaian who has stood in those corridors, the sharp words, the rolled eyes, the scolding that makes the sick feel like beggars. Yet in a private hospital, the same nurse becomes an angel, gentle voice, reassuring smile, patience in abundance. Why? Because in private care, governance works. I say we call public hospital be our nurses no say nyomu bebu eni chine obe kasa by heart no. And the nurse is full soon say obi aba bebo mo and a nurse ni soon. No problem. But Ghana ni bi enim say we call public hospital nurses for no mumbo ade. Now so call private hospital eya na nurses for no. Omo yo nkrofobia omo bu ade ye. Na no no eye die ntia because of governance. I am going to continue, but aside that no before I continue, let me put in this advert. Obi bia wo tie me. Wa wo tie me, you know yourself. Why realize say we fu ashase ayekese. Why realize say wo shase e put on weight. Mr. Enya depa. Now doctors amaya tiase say once your stomach starts getting big or you have a big belly, you are at risk. I want hear that be stroke e bitumi acho. Manya me membim, but one hear that be diabetes, akumayare, BP, and this anyamani na. So who tie me na we fuso a, unim se wako hospital ya katro se cholesterol is too high. Na me kan kwa akosi se me ameti hei, I was in that particular soup. But I did certain things me fu esote ye. Na ma true book, enyama me ye 3 things. Enye drew, Mr. I am not selling medicine. I am selling a book. And that book is even more than a medicine. It is a book for your lifetime. We chimbe ni na krano ebe to me ababeshian bibi efrim. Inti 3 secrets enyama miense wasa oye ebema wefu eswate. It is in the book. The book is in the comment box. Click the link in the comment box and then get the book. Once you click the link, you see 4 versions of the book, right? Pick the one you want. Open hard copy, then you pick that one. If you want the ebook, then you pick that one, you make payments, and then you wait for the download page. Open the audio book, and also you make payments, then you wait for the download page. Now, if you want, don't worry. Miyama Kenkan book no, video, and that one it is called the Tree Explainer. You click on it, pay, and then wait for the page, and then you download. But oye we ni na ana opese auto book no, oye mobile money ni nyejuma or whatever, oye ni na wetia na still wonsanka book na. Don't worry, usikan yiraye. You can call me or WhatsApp me on 055-807-4986. Now, yentia eye Franklin Kujo nsemo okaneso. Also, within hours, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, led by its fiery Ghana General Secretary, Dr. David Tinkran Chum, was on the airwaves branding Ralph a tag, issuing ultimatums, and threatening to shut down Rich's emergency unit. He was defending his own. Yes, but his voice boomed louder than the patients, louder than the citizens. So say Anche, General Secretary of Nurses for Nababontin, Kasa ye nyama air threatens so omobe shut it down the emergency unit of a year Rich Hospital no. Or say General we no or Kasa dia ba say sisi no ama ne voice mumpo. I say we Bruni say you are even crying more than the bereaved. Se wo bi maame ewu na wo ko no usu asen ni bako na ne maame ewu mpo no. Basically that's what Franklin Kujo is saying. As a parliament, to its credit, found its voice. The minority on the health committee condemned Ralph's conduct as reckless and called for swift police action. Their tone was right, but the House must rise above episodic outrage and build oversight that makes negligence costly, not routine. Now, I have said no, or say, and the police, for once, Franklin Kujo or say, and the police, for once, they moved. Arrests were made. CCTV released, statements taken. That is their duty. And this time, they did not sit idle. So see police for yomo ejuma. Arrest be a wase womo ye na womo ye. Into omo achi. Into asem we ye police for I make arrest to omo achi nkrofo. Police for CCTV aba MOB ehu. Police for take statements. Or say yet trust is fragile. Too many cases start with urgency and end in silence. Ghanaians want this one to be different. Not just arrest, but justice carried to the end. Now, Tiha, this is where I think the problem is, and this is where I'm going to say what I want to say. Also, here is where the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association lost the moral high ground. Inti ahase no, waka se nurses for no. Ahase no moye mistake. Their response to 1 month's alleged recklessness was to threatening abandoning their post. And that was what I was saying yesterday. Say wo nipa baako Raf akwakoye boni nti Ghana fo ensofa. Nkrofo a ewu, nkrofo a eyare omo nsofa. Embra wo mo Raf ne kra wo mu nim no. It was say they were reckless. Their response to 1 month's alleged recklessness was to threaten abandoning their post. That is not cure. It is reckless. A professional body should not hold patients hostage. And that's exactly what I was saying. Mrs. Hadier, where the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, INO, if this government does not find a solution to it, we are handcuffed and doomed for life as a country. Because it simply means the survival of people in this country, the survival of patients in hospital, will be tied to the ego of nurses. Once they feel say will be idea any day, Ghana for a serious way, a terrorist action. People are not seeing it the way me I'm seeing it. But if you are handling a very listen, it is just like bank for a keep you see come out. Bank for keep you see come out. Or see obi aba bank ho. Aba be ye dede. Obi aba be didi tell anatem nti anu nti omo ye adwuma wo bank no mo so omo nye adwuma biom omo eja wo sika no se obi ambra befa. Do you understand how reckless it is? Do you understand what I'm saying? That is the same thing. These people are holding very sensitive positions. And they are telling us because they have a problem, someone has come there to disrespect a nurse. And uhunti Ghana for a yare omo da emergency. Omo wu ye show omo wu. Because obi a me nim no aba ho aba be ye adia ensen fata. That is all it takes for Ghanaians to die. That is all it takes. Me say this is a terrorist action. Now, I am expecting the government to do something about this. I am expecting the government. Me say, media coming kwa. These people should be arrested and they should be prosecuted. Let us try the law on it. Let us try the law on this. So that next time, Obi Biara will hold this sensitive way, Bibiba, you know what to do. You don't go beyond. Listen to Franklin Kujo. Or see, that is no cure. It is reckless. A professional body should not hold patients hostage. If anything, they should demand justice and let the police do their work. That is how you build credibility, not by wielding ultimatums like weapons. Now, also picture this. So Franklin Kujo is giving another example. Picture this. If police officers, tired of criticism, dropped their weapons and walked off the streets, or if firemen insulted one too many times, let flames consume homes just to prove a point, society would collapse within hours. Sawati, is it not the same example I'm giving? If you ever so more Ghana National Fire Service, Ghana for the omo time I do baby omo to me do baby Ghana for crap so omo bo omo. Na Fire Service for say because Ghana for pesi ebu ye ntino nkrofo efie and omo adwuma ahia ye nkobiom. Do you understand what it means? Is it not the same thing the nurses are doing? Is that not terrorism? Is that not terrorism? And Franklin Kuja has given a perfect example. Ghana ni obedi yenvan say unam krom no be the police ni atem. Na police for say because ye di police ni ba kwa atem nti yen police for and ye nye adwuma. Hey, uni ma krom for e beba yeso. Uni ma krom for e beba yeso. So if the police cannot do that, if the bank manager or the banks cannot do that, if the firemen cannot do that, why is it that the nurses are being allowed to do that? Me say, let us try the law. Let us prosecute the leaders of the Ghana Registered Nurses Association. So idea we are no me say a terrorist action. The government should prosecute them. It is a terrorist action. It is a terrorist action. Yentuaso. I say the real fight is not in walking away from wards, but in forcing the system to deliver dignity and care. Think of the patient who died because her cries were brushed off as exaggeration. Think of the mother who lost her baby because the midwife was on break. Think of the accident victim who bled out in an emergency unit while nurses scrolled their phones. These are not rumors. They echo in trotro conversations, on radio call-ins, and in funeral whispers. They are the silent Ralph incidents that never make headlines. So yes, Ralph must face the law. Yes, the Ghana Registered Nurses Midwives Association must defend its members. Yes, the minister must sharpen his optics. And yes, Parliament must legislate with backbone. But until governance changes, until public hospitals demand the same standard of care as private ones, until citizens feel safe and respected, nothing changes. We will prosecute Ralph, explain away a handshake, and clap for Parliament's outrage. But tomorrow, another Ghanaian will die from neglect, and that death is not trend. The scandal is not just Ralph at rich. The scandal is a system that allows a nurse to be tyrant in public and angel in private. The scandal is governance that shows impunity but punishes compassion. The scandal is a nation that mourns only when the cameras are on. We must end this scandal, not with ultimatums, not with handshakes, not with speeches, but with governance that finally values Ghanaian life as more than a statistic, more than a vote, more than a number on a hospital bed. Until then, every Ghanaian who walks into a public hospital will carry the same fear. Will I be saved or scolded before I take my last breath? And this is coming from Franklin Kujuno Odiato ne platform so. Media maka me say nurses for actions yi no mo person mo take no. Me say a terrorist action. And the government needs to prosecute them. It's as simple as that. Mon share your comment box ni mo. Bedasi. And the Ghana for bebre yare a ekuyen a stroke, diabetes, cancer, heart disease. Na sa yare we ni na no. The underlying factor adia wo broni friend visceral fat. Now her screen is so we doctor a website. Now what trust visceral fat wraps around your organs, creating inflammation and interfering with organ function. This fat causes a big belly. Now one thing about visceral fat, and it's engrophobia Rebecca, oh ye benu me bibi drew ebema yefu atwe, ye benu me drew ebema mefu atwe, visceral fat no oboa, obi obeka jose we drew bia obenum na wefu atwe no oboa. Because belly fat no e draw bia ni ho betumi amana akofom. You only lose belly fat when you decide to lose weight. Na me meti he, me obi a na first me obi belly fat no na me obi visceral fat no na me obi. Ende mini ohwa mefu atwe. Na enyama me ye no method bi a me friend no the WWE method. Me dey throw book no or comment box ni mo. So open book ni bi ato a eno ane se wa click comment box ni mo na tre se wa to book no. And na screen so book ni din your action plan for weight loss. Na wa click na wa pe book no ato. Ye kan eduro aduane a yedi. Obi a wo be ka tro so ye pe eduro be ma yefu atwe bia no me se oboa. Mesrew eduro ye aduane ebedi. Nti metre we aduane a obedi ni na wo book nim ene nyama e wo se wo ye. Nti no get the book and then live healthy.